Thank you, Concord and Cato Cheese, for giving us this topic. It's a hugely important issue. Minister, look, this is going to affect every man, woman and child in the state. You might say how? Because the farmer can't buy the fertiliser. Thankfully, credit unions are stepping in to give loans because the banks aren't lending, and you're standing idly by. We've been told by the Agriculture Commissioner that members of governments can make decisions to intervene here and try and lessen the price. How come in Sweden they have dropped the price of fuel back to 2018 levels? And here we are rubbing our hands and talking about packages for loose and for everything else. We have to do something with the cost of fertiliser, because it's adding on pressures across the line to the food chain and to the housewife and to mum's purse on Friday evening, and people just cannot afford. The farmers can't afford it. And when we did see a green deputy welcoming the cost of it, because said it would stop people using nitrogen and everything else. This is a warped kind of thinking. I mean, the farmers and the mixed farmers and the dairy and everything else have good animal husbandry, and they want to have good fresh grass and fresh produce, and to try and being able to produce it at a reasonable cost, and then also to pass on the price of milk and pass on everything else. But if it keeps boiling out of control, the housewife and mum's purse, or the house husband or whoever, will not be able to afford to live, and that's unbelievable.
Thank you, Cian Corlia, and I'm here on behalf of Minister McConalogue, who's away at the moment. And I would like to thank the deputies for raising this important matter. The very significant rise in fertiliser prices in the last year, and particularly in recent months, is particularly concerning, and my department is closely monitoring the situation. While there are a number of factors at play in the market, there is no sign of fertiliser prices easing in the short to medium term. There are no fertilisers manufactured in Ireland. Rather, fertiliser companies blend a number of imported fertiliser products into different compositions suitable for agricultural use in Ireland. Indigenous fertiliser companies are dependent on global supply and demand, and subject to euro exchange rates against the US dollar and other currencies on the price they pay for fertiliser. The well-publicised rise in gas prices, which is a key input in nitrogen fertiliser production, has contributed significantly to the upward trend in fertiliser prices. Furthermore, an exasperating factor is an increased demand for fertiliser from large grain-producing countries, which is being fuelled by strong global grain markets. This increased global demand has impacted on supplies and added to upward pressure on prices. The imposition of anti-dumping tariffs from certain third countries is, of course, an additional, albeit secondary factor when imported into the EU from these producing countries. Therefore, it is clear that there have been a confluence of issues over the past 12 months or so, all having an upward effect on global fertiliser prices. Energy prices remain well above January 2021 levels, and transport costs have also added to the price increases. In October 2021, Minister McConalogue requested Teagasc to lay out a credible roadmap to assist farmers in the short term, as well as offering a long-term solution in the move to reduce dependency on chemical fertilisers and the Soils, Nutrients and Fertiliser campaign was launched on the 26th of January, just gone by. Teagasc has put together a comprehensive information pack for farmers and their advisors through a compendium of 20 fact sheets to optimise the use of plant nutrients and to help farmers address the challenge of maintaining their farm outputs in the face of rising fertiliser costs and reduced availability. Teagasc are working with farmers through the Soils, Nutrients and Fertiliser campaign to help them adapt to the current fertiliser market and to support them to make informed decisions on what's best for their farms. This is a strategy that can ease the price pressure on farmers, and it is a strategy that will be good for the environment and good for farmers' pockets. At the November Agriculture and Fisheries Council, Minister McConalogue raised the increased challenge faced by farmers due to the rising costs of inputs. The EU Commission was called upon to consider all options to ease the pressure on farmers at this time, including the question of whether the imposition of anti-dumping duties on fertiliser imports continues to be appropriate, and for this matter to be examined as a priority. Following the November meeting, Minister McConalogue wrote to the EU Commissioner Wojciechowski requesting that the Commission's assessment of the ongoing appropriateness of anti-dumping duties on fertiliser is completed as a matter of priority. The EU Commission responded on 26th of January to say that they are still collecting information to establish the relevant facts. In addition, a new €1 million initiative by my department will support the planting of multi-species swards in order to reduce dependency on fertiliser. This scheme will support farmers to use multi-species grass when reseeding. It will mean a mixture of complementary species will be sown, including clover, which will enable farmers to significantly reduce their use of nitrogen. A pilot soil sampling programme has also been introduced by my department, which will give farmers comprehensive details of the soil health and soil condition of their farm. This should again help them, provide them with the critical information to make farm management decisions and nutrient inputs to the most efficient levels. With fertiliser prices constituting such a high portion of a farmer's expenditure, we are aware that the impact of continued high fertiliser prices will have a negative effect on farmers' businesses. Ireland, unfortunately, will remain a fertiliser price taker in this regard.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Minister, for God's sake, we didn't even get a copy of the reply. But look, this is balderdash and total bunkum. And it's green policy. Talking about growing clover and talking about mixture of farmers, that's an insult to the farmers. And the chairman of the Ag Committee sitting behind you here, he knows it. But you have to cut Fine Gael and Fine Gael, you have them up, I won't say what, but it's shocking. And you're destroying agriculture and destroying Ireland, for that matter. And will take decades to recover. Farmers and credit unions are trying to bail out farmers and give them loans to buy the fertiliser. But what's going to happen? We're talking about the cost of living for 2 hours here earlier. It's going to be added on to the price of food. You know that. You're from a farm yourself. And cut out the cod wallop and codology and intervene here. As the EU Commissioner said, you can intervene in member states, but you stand idly by and rub your hands and look as if you can't do anything. Of course you can, but you don't want to do it. Because green policy is to destroy the farmers and wipe out the farming community completely. And what are we going to have? A wasteland here that will be all Jurassic Park for people to come on holidays? Shocking.
Thank you, Deputy. Please, Minister.
Thank you, Deputies. Again, I would like to reiterate that the cost of fertilisers has nothing to do with green policies. It is a global price increase because of gas prices. Globally, gas prices have increased, and if you've been following any of the current affairs at the moment, you'll be aware of that. Fertiliser is essentially made from gas. So if gas price goes up, fertiliser price goes up. I can't really be much clearer than that. We have engaged, as I said, with the EU Commissioner on Agriculture, and we have requested that they assess one of the aspects in terms of the appropriateness of the anti-dumping duties. Now, we are making inroads into that. We are hoping that the EU Commission will respond with some positive news on that. And certainly my colleague Minister McConalogue has been seeking that as a priority. The measures I did outline are practical measures. We are ultimately on a roadmap here to actually. No, not at all. To actually allow, no, you're wrong. It's to enable farmers to become sustainable, so their farms are sustainable for future generations. The current model doesn't work. Now we cannot leave farmers at a loose end with no fertiliser. We need to support farmers to adapt to farming practices that require. And you should know, Deputy. I understand you're an organic farmer. You should know. You should be able to. You should be sharing your knowledge. You should be sharing your knowledge as an organic farmer to your colleagues. You should share that knowledge with your colleagues. And my department is working hard. We have commitments within our climate action plan to reduce the amount of fertiliser we do. My department is working really hard to put in place measures that will support farmers. If you actually bothered to listen to my response at the start, you would have heard a number of measures outlined. I'll gladly share with you my response, and you can follow up on some of those comments there. Thank you.